Have you ever seen a website like this? While some fake or unreliable sources are very obvious, such as this one, some aren't. Today you will learn how to stay smart and safe online.
Hi, I'm going to be teaching you about cyberbullying and online toxicity, how to avoid and recognize these on the internet. So, cyberbullying is when someone uses an online platform like texting, Snapchat, Instagram, or any sort of social media that you can share and post content to bully you or share hurtful messages about you. Cyberbullying includes sending mean, harmful, or insensitive content to someone or about someone. It can be dangerous because since it isn't in person, people might say things they wouldn't, and teachers, parents, or guardians aren't as aware about situations on social media as they might in real life. There is a difference between joking around with friends and none of you taking it too hard or taking it too seriously and actually being cyberbullied. So if you don't feel like the joke is funny or you feel embarrassed by it, then it could be cyberbullying, especially if the bully does not stop when you ask them to. So some effects of cyberbullying or any type of bullying are mentally feeling ashamed, stupid, or angry, emotionally losing interest in something that you previously liked, and physically feeling tired or having stomach aches and headaches. So even if it might seem like this is all happening in your head, you can have physical symptoms as well. If you or someone you know is getting cyberbullied, you should definitely seek help from someone you trust, like parents or a close family member, or a school counselor if you're in school. If you aren't comfortable talking to someone you know, there are many helplines in your country to talk to and work out what exactly you should do. If the cyberbullying is happening on a platform, you can block the bully or report them to the app, or even delete the app. You can collect evidence like screenshots or chat messages to prove your case when you're confronted. Generally, the internet can be a very toxic and negative place. Of course, you can socialize with friends and all that, but if you feel like the expectations and pressures of social media are getting too much of you, it's alright to take a break, log out, or delete the app for some time. You can take time for yourself and do what makes you happy, such as drawing, playing a sport, or listening to music. So, I hope this gave you some tips on how to recognize cyberbullying and stop online toxicity. Hi, I will be teaching you about online privacy and giving information to strangers online. So, what to do when someone asks you about yourself and how to maintain privacy. So, online privacy and information you can give. Online privacy refers to how much of your personal information remains private when you're online. It's important to know how much information you can give away without leaking key things about yourself, like where you live, passwords, and other things that can be directly traced to you. So when you download apps like Gmail, they're still gathering information on you and other apps as well and websites. So privacy is important because you don't want to give away info such as your PIN and financial security that you get when you're older. Identity theft is a major problem online, and identity theft is not a joke. So you should take keeping your passwords and private information very seriously. So when setting up your bios on social media or chatting with online friends, never give away the following: passwords to anything like school, Chromebooks, or anything like that, address, where you live, phone number, personal information, things about you, such as your mother's middle name or your middle name, or different things that you have. Your location is also something you should give away if you're home alone. Um, your email address and information about your parents, because that last one, information about your parents, is very important because some kids would like to brag about what their parents do or what they bought, but this is a serious thing that people can trace back to you. So make sure to stay aware of that. I hope you learned how to protect yourself online and to be safe when you're downloading different things.
Hi guys, we're going to look at a website that's fake, a scam, and a conspiracy theory. Welcome to dogisland.com. It's a website about an island full of dogs, as the title suggests. Unfortunately, it's fake. How do you know? Well, first of all, there's ads on the side and on top, and it doesn't take up the whole page. Second of all, it looks like it was made in the 90s. If you don't know what a 90s website looks like, I would recommend that you look them up because one, they're really fun, and two, they can tell you a lot about what fake websites look like today. Next, at the bottom, there's a disclaimer. This tells you that the website is fake. Most websites won't have a disclaimer at the bottom, but they may give you more information about the website, as we'll see in our next example. Now it's time to do the obvious thing. Google if Dog Island is real. You don't even have to Google is Dog Island real. You can just Google Dog Island at first, the title of whatever you're looking for, and you can find out a lot more information about it. There's a Wikipedia page, there's Google reviews, and there's a Snopes page for is Dog Island real, which would be our next search. Don't know why I opened that tab. And the answer is it's false. Snopes is. I cut off there because Dog Island froze my computer. I think it was Dog Island. But yeah, Snopes is a reliable source and you should check it. The internet follows the rules of stranger danger. So if someone contacts you online and you don't know them, they could be a scammer. There's something called catfishing where they pretend to be someone who they're not, and then they get information out of you. There's also grooming, where they just get information out of you gradually, and those are kind of dangerous. If you're wondering how to check, Google searches often help, or asking if they should know this much information about you might help, or some of the sources that I will mention at the end of this video could help too. There's also your family or your friends, if you have any, who you could ask about this because there's a good chance they know. I would check through Google when someone who is obviously not a person sends you a text if it's a scam or not, unless you have confirmation that it's not. Like you signed up for something on a website, or it's a text or call from a local business. It's probably not a scam then, but if it's from something you haven't heard of, then you should check. Or if it's from a big business, you should check. Let's talk about the warning signs of a scam. I found this on the ever so important first result of Google, and now I'm going to read it to you. If someone you don't know contacts you out of the blue and you've never met them in person, they ask you to pay for something or give them money through unusual payment methods like gift cards, wire transfers, cryptocurrencies, or goats. They ask you to pay for something in advance, especially through an unusual payment method. That could be a scam. When all of those signs are present, it's like a very good indication of a scam, but any one of them is enough reason to check. Lastly, this is not mentioned, but if something creates a sense of urgency, like you're all gonna die unless you buy this specific cheese, it could be a scam. I know what you're thinking, that is ridiculous, and it is, because that's not generally the type of thing that comes in these scams. That's more for conspiracy theories. But what these scams may say is that you're gonna lose all of your money unless you call us and give us some of your money because you're in debt. So, by the way, credit to my teachers and a Girl Scout seminar for all of this information. I would recommend looking carefully at what your teachers give you, but if you think there's a good source on reliable sources or scams or anything, you should probably copy or bookmark it. Not all of them are good, but some can really advance your knowledge.
Hi, today I'm going to be talking about finding the reliability of sources. So there are two main ways to find out if a source is reliable or not. First, you can evaluate your source. So for that, you want to ask yourself, who's the author? What is the purpose or message of the text? What is the goal of the text? And who published the content? So for this, let's see an example. So firstly, who is the author? The author here is David Herring. And a quick Google search for David Herring shows us that David Herring is the Director of Communication and Education for Climate Program Office. And by reading this, we could see that he was a team leader for NASA's Earth Observatory and more. So it's safe to say that he is a reliable source who knows about the topic that you're reading about. Now, what is the purpose or message of the text? Well, the text is the article is trying to tell you and explain to you, are there any positive benefits from global warming? And this ties into the next question. What is the goal of the text? So, the goal of the text is either trying to tell you if there are or aren't any positive benefits from global warming, which you'll learn from reading the text. Finally, who published the content? The content was published by climate.gov, and usually, if it ends in .gov, that means it's a reliable source because it's government sponsored. So it's safe to say that this is also a reliable source. But just in case, let's look at their logo in their home tab. So NOAA. So that is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is a government agency. So that is a reliable source. Now, there are other ways of also seeing if a source is credible or not. That's with the checking credibility. So for that, you want to ask yourself, when was this article or writing published? Who's the source? How accurate is the information? And why does the information exist? So for this example, let's look at this article. So Time obviously is a very well-known source, but the problem with this article is that it was written in 2015, December 15th, 2015. And that's over 5 years ago. So a lot of these statistics and information would be outdated. If it was something, let's say it's a book review or an article like that, then the date wouldn't really matter. But for something like this number could have increased, decreased. A lot of things could have happened in the past 5 years. So while this Time is a reliable source, this article isn't necessarily reliable for if you're doing an essay about screen time usage or something like that. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learn more about reliable sources.
If any of you use Instagram, you probably use the app, not the site. But you should also know that the URL name is Instagram.com. So, if you see something that says Instagram.org or Instagram.com, it's clearly not the right website. There are lots more examples of this online, and they may be an indication of a scam. Another thing you shouldn't do when it comes to typing in URLs is type in something like board.com, because if you just type in random URLs like this, you may get linked to a scam page that automatically downloads malware, something which can make your computer go all haywire. Or it can spy on you. Finally, we're going to talk about .onion sites. Now, .onion sites are not for the faint of heart, but they aren't that interesting either. They allow you to be untracked on the internet. I would stay away from .onion sites unless you really know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, you might be a criminal. So, our topic today is all about staying consistently vigilant, which means that you'll need some sources to browse on your own time. First, we're starting out with media bias charts. This may not be the best one, but if you just simply Google media bias chart, you'll find a lot of takes on how politically biased something is and how high its fact reporting is, and overall just how much you should trust it. On USA.gov, there's a list of common scams and frauds. You may not want to read through all of these, but they kind of give you a general idea of how the scams work. You see, right now it's kind of hard to get COVID vaccines, so people will offer you something that is too good to be true. That's just a basic principle of scams. Here you can see how much data big tech companies have on you because unfortunately they may be spying on you, and it even gives them a grade. It's called security.org. Finally, there's some stuff on YouTube. This guy, James Veach, did something on replying to scammers, which no one recommends, but it's interesting to see what would happen. And there's another YouTuber called Atomic Shrimp, and he kind of gives you a lot of tips on how to stay safe, and he also does the same thing, provoking scammers.